Hi, everyone. This is Scott Schmerlson. I am your board member in Board District 3, and we are continuing today with our series of questions on a safe reopening for schools. And we are so lucky today because we have our Chief Facilities Executive, Mr. Mark Hovatter, who will be answering questions and explaining things to us. So first of all, thank you, Mr. Hovatter, for joining us. I am so happy that you're here. So I'm going to call you Mark, okay? So, Mark, are classrooms properly outfitted with plexiglass and other precautions?
That's a great question, and thank you for the opportunity to respond to that because I know there's been a lot of discussion about plexiglass. Let me answer the question by saying, yes, our classrooms are properly prepared and they are safe, but there will not be classrooms with plexiglass on every desk. We have done a lot of research on this. What happens with plexiglass is you introduce an artificial wall that wasn't designed to be in there. And the reason that's important is because we took a lot of effort to make sure that our air filters were the best air filters we could have. They're the same air filters that they use in medical grade masks.
We've increased the air filtration capacity from a MERV 8 to a MERV 13, which is a lot more efficient as far as filters go. It captures a lot more particulate matter.
We have rewired the controls of our heating and air conditioning so the fan runs all the time. Not the heat, not the cool, but even when it's not heating or cooling, there's a fan that's circulating the air. And that's so important because the safest thing you can do is not breathe air that someone else exhales. So we went to a lot of steps to make sure we've got smooth airflow. When you start introducing artificial walls, all it does is disrupts that air and it makes the air start to swirl around and actually traps it. So you've got longer to breathe it. Plexiglass has its place, but that's when it's unavoidable to have close contact with someone. So if we have a student with special needs or in reception areas and those type of situations, we'll have plexiglass up. But in an open classroom, we're far better off having free airflow where that air is not going to get trapped for people to breathe. That's supported by studies from the Mayo Clinic, and it's supported by studies from the University of Washington. In addition to that, we do a lot of effort to disinfect the classrooms. We actually bought special machines that put an electrostatic charge that basically it takes the disinfectant and puts electricity into it, and it makes it go out and grab onto all the surfaces. So everything's covered, not just the areas you happen to touch with a rag.
Thank you. Mark, let me comment on two things that you said that I think are really interesting. I was truly a little worried that we would be running our air conditioners, the compressor, or the heaters 24 hours a day. And I thought, oh my goodness, what an expense, even though it's for safety. But now that I know that the compressors and the heat will only come on when called for by the unit, but otherwise it'd be running the fan 24 hours a day. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. It's
Oh,
going to
good.
save electricity, and it's going to avoid the uncomfortableness of getting too hot or too cold while we're running
I'm glad to
extra
hear that.
equipment.
I'm glad to hear that. And you know, Mark, I have witnessed several times the cleaning process at the schools, and it really is a marvel to see these things happening. In fact, you know that the gentleman with the cleaner on his back kind of reminds me of a scene from Ghostbusters. And I even asked the custodian, "Have you caught any ghosts with that machine?" And he said, "No, we're just cleaning."
That's right. The other thing that gets asked a lot is, are you going to put air purifiers in the room? And my response is yes, we've got the best air purifier money can buy. We have a $10 million heating and air conditioning system for a school, and we're making advantage of that. It is true that sometimes we have air conditioning problems where one will break down. So in those circumstances, we do have 1,000 air purifiers that we will immediately move to the room and install them while we're fixing it. So there will never be a situation where we're asking someone to stay in a classroom where we don't have a purification system working.
That's good news for the parents. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much for that information. I'm really confident now that our district knows what it's doing, and I'm so happy to have you at the helm of facilities that make sure that we're all safe. So thank you so much for answering these difficult questions. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. And this is a team effort, and every person in the school district is working together to make sure that we've got the safest possible environment. Thanks to the principals and the teachers and the plant managers and all those people that have nothing but the safety of our students at heart.